to episode 20 of Eye on Horror. Episode 20. It seems like just yesterday it was episode 10. I'm your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davidson. How you doing, Jacob?
I'm doing okay, I guess. No, I'm happy we reached 20 episodes.
I knew that you were joking with that, okay? You were just trying to throw me off.
Yeah.
And also with us, who I'm sure is happy to be here as well, and happy we're at 20, John Correia. How you doing, John?
Doing well. I'm surprised it took us a year to get to 20 episodes when we record every other month. I think the math is off there.
Is it a year?
It's
I don't know the dates. I know that there were a couple stretches where we missed, and if you're talking every 2 weeks, that would be 26. So,
right.
Yeah, if we miss here and there, we should be at 26 if it's a year. So,
but yeah, it's been a year because we recorded before I left on the road, which was maybe a month off.
Yeah,
well, close enough.
Still.
Yeah. Either way, we're getting there.
I'm not paid to do math.
And we're doing great with our schedule this year. We're keeping our New Year's resolution, and we're doing every 2 weeks.
Rain or shine.
Yes, rain or shine. Which we're all in California, so there's a whole lot of rain right now.
Yeah.
Which rain is actually great movie watching weather. So what have you guys seen? I'm going to go first because I saw Happy Death Day to You.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nice.
Yeah, I knew. I knew that would get that reaction from Korea. It's more of the same. Happy Death Day. It leans way more into the comedy side of things. You're seeing it today, right?
Yeah, I'm seeing it later this afternoon with some friends.
It's it leans more into the comedy. It's not as horror-y. It's what I loved about Happy Death Day was it was kind of like 6 little slasher movies that kind of were part of a bigger arc. And this one isn't really like that. It's more of them trying to stop the loop again because, at the end of the last one, they stopped the loop, but guess what? You can't have a sequel without that loop starting up again. So, but yeah, it's not as horror centric. It's more sci-fi comedy going on, but it's enjoyable. It's fun. I swear, I want to see Jessica Roth. I think that's how you say her last name, Roth with an E. I want to see Jessica Roth play sisters with Blake Lively because those two, they would be great as sisters.
But like a really sassy, like, tongue-in-cheek thriller. Like, maybe not A Simple Favor 2, but I'd like to see them in, like, a similar tone type thriller.
And now I know I totally commandeered this, but Jacob, I can tell by the look on his face, he's dying to talk about it. Jacob, what'd you see this week?
I finally, again, keeping this in perspective, after 15 years, over 15 years, I finally saw Alita Battle Angel, and I liked it. In fact, I loved it.
We've been joking that Alita Battle Angel is the new Mandy for Jacob.
Yeah.
So,
yep, Mandy was 2018, Alita is 2019. Get used to it.
Dude, this is so early in the year. Are you sure you can claim that this is going to be this year's obsession?
Well, until something else comes along, but for now, it's Alita. But yeah, to get into it, I followed the original manga series back in the mid-2000s, and Cameron announced he was doing the adaptation, I think as early as like 2003, 2004. So it has been a long road, and then passing off the directing rights to Robert Rodriguez. But they pulled it off. It was amazing. It really did a great job in adapting the story, and it did such a great job that I could hold up pages from the comic up to the screen during scenes, and it would be a 1-to-1 split.
And I feel like you did do that. I feel like you did go to the theater with your manga and just sat there and went, yeah, this is it right here. And then, like, the guy next to you was just uncomfortable being like, stop.
That was the third time he saw it. He did that.
Yeah. That, for science.
It was 3 times, right, Jacob?
Three times so far.
Damn,
so far,
dude.
yeah.
I have today off, so I might go see it in IMAX.
Yeah, no, I got to see it in IMAX as many times as possible. Like, it's so stunning. Like, of course, being a James Cameron production, the special effects are astounding, and, like, the action is really something else, and just really draws you in, and just cyborgs fighting cyborgs, and this amazing dystopian city, and yeah, just I really loved it, and it's like the first true great anime manga adaptation, and they did such an amazing job with it. So yeah, just I loved it, and even my friends who I went to see it with, who'd never read the manga before and were kind of going in blind, I really enjoyed it too. So it has a very wide appeal. So yeah, no, just I loved Alita, and I hope everybody sees it in the biggest screens imaginable.
The trailers and commercials and all kind of freak me out, because the way that Alita looks with and I guess the whole thing was motion capture, right? There's not very much of that actress's...
Yeah, Rosa Salazar is motion captured.
And it looks so weird, the eyes, because all of the other actors are actors. It weirds me out to see Alita, actually, character Alita.
Yeah, well, okay, so admittedly that did turn me for a loop when I initially saw those trailers, but I know that everybody's like, oh, the eyes. Although I feel at this point everybody's moved on to Will Smith's creepy blue genie thing in terms of CG marketing stuff. But yeah, honestly, it's not...
Everyone said the same thing about Paddington. Remember when the first trailer for Paddington came out, and they kept putting
creepy
pictures
serial
of
killer
Paddington stuff? Yeah, scary Paddington. So, I mean...
So, they'll find anything to nitpick, and, it looks way better on the screen than in the commercials, I will say. And
well, this isn't me nitpicking. This is my actual gut reaction. I was like, this girl's freaking me out. It wasn't, I wasn't listening to anybody else saying it was creepy. This is my own reaction to seeing the image of the character Alita.
It is a little uncanny, but I think that's what they were going for, because the whole thing is that she's a full-body cyborg, so her body is mechanical, her brain is organic, and I feel like they did a good job of capturing it. And again, when you see it on the big screen, like, the special effects are so impeccable that you can you can't really tell the difference sometimes. Like, she just looks that real.
So this is this year's Ready Player One?
Oh, don't even.
Okay, sorry.
Don't.
You really struck a nerve with that one, James. Jesus, you got him to the core. This is like when that 8-year-old said Jurassic Park sucked to me. I was destroyed for weeks.
Another thing I saw that was actually kind of... It was okay. It's a movie called The Changeover, which is an adaptation of... I guess it's a novel from the 80s, but it's sort of... I feel like they made it into a movie to try to cash in on the whole Twilight, the void that has been left by Twilight, because it's about a girl who takes care of her little brother, and her brother gets cursed. So this girl, in order to save her brother, a friend of hers' mom is a witch, so she has to change over and become a witch to protect her brother. So it's sort of like Twilight, but with witches instead of vampires.
Is there like a romance subplot?
Yes, there.
Of course,
is.
Of course.
Yes, there is, because her friend whose mom is a witch is a boy. So yeah, there is.
Okay.
And it's the setup for it. The first act, I was really in. I was like, this is great. It was kind of like a Something Wicked This Way Comes kind of, kids mystery creepy thing, but then it got, like you said, it turned into like a teen paranormal romance, which is an actual section at Barnes & Noble. Teen paranormal romance.
It's what the kids are into.
Yeah, I guess they are.
Wait, you go into Barnes & Nobles?
I do. So I have one around here. I have one near me that still has Blu-rays, so there's that Criterion sale twice a year.
I went to the one that's near me, and their Blu-ray section, that's all it was Criterion's and maybe like an end shelf with like overpriced new stuff. That's about it.
Yeah. The Criterions were shoved in a section with all the Funkos, actually, and all of the vinyl records. So it's like anything that's not a book, they put in that section.
Actually, speaking of Criterion, did you guys hear for it was the March announcement? Or May?
Blue Velvet.
I think it's May.
The original Funny Games is getting a release. And finally doing Blue Velvet.
Blue Velvet, yeah, that's the biggie.
That's awesome.
That should be expected, because next is going to be the Elephant Man. What?
Fucking better be, dude.
What
Elephant
David Lynch have they not done? Actually, Shout did Wild at Heart.
Yeah, they did.
So there will always be a gaping hole in Criterion's Lynch collection, because I think, well, it depends on what kind of deal Shout made, but I don't think, if Shout did it, I don't think Criterion's going to be doing it. But the Elephant Man, they would do a great Elephant Man. I would love it.
Elephant Man needs it, dude. Like, the only way to get it right now is on DVD, or you can get it digitally in HD. Yeah. Like, there are HD copies out there, but I imported one, but it's super region locked, so I can't even watch it on my region free player, which is frustrating to have it and not be able to watch it. Yeah.
So is your region free player not really region free?
No, it is. Just sometimes with certain titles, like it's like I no matter what can't get it to work. It's that and my Australian release for Over the Garden Wall. Like, just for some reason, even if I do switch it to different regions, it still it still says you are not there. It's crazy.
Weird.
I haven't been out to the movies in a while, but I did on Valentine's Day celebrate by watching Valentine.
Ooh.
Okay.
Do you guys remember that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like
2001 slasher film with David Boreanaz, Denise Richards, Marley Shelton.
Isn't Katherine Heigl in it too?
Katherine Heigl's in it for like 5 minutes, maybe.
I've never actually seen it.
It's so fucking bad. Like, okay. I was angry. Like, I haven't felt so angry towards a movie since seeing Happy Death Day.
Oh.
And I just felt so light. Because here's the thing. Can we all just admit David Boreanaz is not a great actor, but he's like been in a few roles where it works. Like,
he's a presence. He's not an actor.
Yeah, like even Angel, like early Buffy, it was just kind of like, really? He's the love interest? Okay, but then he came into his own in Angel. I hear everyone's parents say Bones is watchable. But my God, Valentine, that dude would just make the most awkward facial smiles. Like he was a robot trying to mimic a person. And I do have to say, though, Denise Richards was really, really entertaining in it. Like, she was the highlight of the film, which I don't know what that's, if that's a testament to the quality of the film, if Denise Richards is the best part, but she was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and how was the slasher killer in that movie? You know, the guy with the Cupid mask? How was that?
Oh, dude, fuck that Cupid mask. Fuck that fake out at the end. It was terrible. And they kept doing this thing, because, like, it was typical story. Kid gets tortured by kids. He comes back years later and he's killing them, but he keeps getting nosebleeds. But with how that mask works, it's just it wasn't trying hard enough, but it was also trying too hard.
That nosebleed thing is ripped off out of the Jack's shoulder, Alone in the Dark from the early 80s.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh man, I do have to say though, we watched that and then right afterwards watched Bad Times at the El Royale.
Oh my God,
I love that movie.
Did you love that?
That was a very good palate cleanse after that fucking shit show. Bad Times lost a bit of steam at the end. I'd say, like, once Chris Hemsworth comes into play, I felt like it slowed down quite a bit. But I really dug it. It was just classic pulp. You know, I read a lot of pulp books when I was a kid, so I was really enjoying that aspect of it. And man, dude, like, Jeff Bridges fucking killed it.
The only thing I thought was slow about Bad Times at the El Royale was the pace at which the hotel burns. It's the slowest burning hotel ever. Yeah. And it's a little bit of a spoiler that it catches on fire. But yeah, you know it's an explosive movie anyway.
Yeah. Especially with all that tapestry around. Like,
yeah. Why the hell didn't that go up like a freaking...
For drama.
Yeah.
But it was great. Like, there was a few characters that I thought were just going to be bit, like the bellhop. I was like, oh, here's a one scene person, and then he ends up playing like a decent role in it, and like was one of my favorites. And
even Nick Offerman, who is only in like one scene, but he is a pivotal figure. Like, there's no wasted characters in that movie.
And it's true. It's a Drew Goddard movie, so he's very good at subverting characters and expectations.
Yeah,
the same dude that wrote Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah. And on top of that, I have to say, because I watched Suspiria a week prior, I'm all for Dakota Johnson at this point.
Oh, I love those two movies.
Because, like, at first I was like, okay, 50 Shades Girl, whatever. Those films are not going to appeal to me. But damn, dude, she absolutely killed it in those. So I'm excited to see her in pretty much anything else she'll do.
Yeah, I'm a Dakota Johnson groupie.
Now, I have a question. Do you guys like going to freak shows?
I don't remember the last time I went to one.
Well, I went to one this last week. Because I'm in the Valley. There's this place called the California Institute of Abnormal Arts, or CIA. And they, my buddy went, do you want to go to a freak show burlesque show? So I was like, oh, it's a freak show themed burlesque show. Cool. No, it was an actual freak show variety comedy show. No burlesque. And it was the weirdest time. Like one of the first acts was a bearded lady doing stand up, and she was cutting cucumbers on her arm with a machete.
Damn.
And then walked around having people staple dollar bills to her because of her condition that has caused her to grow, as I must say, a very magnificent beard. It's much better than mine.
Wow.
She doesn't feel pain. So it's interesting. So she was walking around and people were stapling dollar bills to her. I was like, that's awesome. There was a psychic who was doing stand up, which was weird. She was just a practicing witch doing stand-up, which I'm not going to say anything bad about her bit. I don't want to be cursed. But it was just like a really weird night. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, go find the weird people.
One time, and this was easily 25 years ago, one of the times I saw Nine Inch Nails in the 90s, they had the Jim Rose Circus Sideshow open up for them. And that is a little bit of like this, although there was no bearded lady, but there was the dude who would lift a cinder block with his penis. Okay. And there,
like on a string, like on a rope.
Yeah, he had his penis pierced.
Oh,
and he would hang. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. I was about to be very impressed if he just put it on top of it and lifted it up.
Nope. And
it's called a cock push-up.
You could tell because he was really lifting it, but there was some serious stretchage happening. Yeah. Oh my God. It was cringy watching it. Yeah.
I didn't cringe until you said stretchage. That word just
went on and
really
on there,
bad.
James.
And he would do the same thing with his nipples would be pierced, and he would lift things with those too. That guy, I forget his name, but then there's also a dude who was completely tattooed, and he I want to say his name was the Enigma, the Human Enigma, something like that, and he would play piano, while the rest of the sideshow was going on. And I think the actual Jim Rose, his gig was he would swallow glass and walk on glass, and he would do things with glass. But anyway, similar kind of the type of thing that would tour with Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, that explains that whole bit they did on The Simpsons. I think back in the 90s, they had that episode where Homer became a freak with some traveling concert show, and he toured with Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, was it Hubbapalooza?
Lollapalooza.
Yeah, or Hullapalooza. Yeah, it was whatever. And he they would shoot a cannonball into his belly.
Yeah.
that was his gig.
Yeah.
Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins. Homer Simpson, smiling politely.
Yeah, I never really got the freak show aspect of the concert thing, but I guess that was a thing in the 90s.
I think that the Jim Rose Circus Sideshow actually did a Lollapalooza back then too. Maybe the one that Nine Inch Nails did. So yeah, it was a thing. The Jim Rose Circus Sideshow was a thing in the alternative music circle back then.
Yeah, closest I really got to freak show. I've never really done a freak show, but I've done those curiosity exhibits or whatever where they have mummified mermaids and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's the cool thing about CIA is that it also has those type of exhibits. Like they had a two-headed fetus in a jar, and it's a bar, so you could get a beer, walk around, look at these things. It had corpses. Nice. I think the owner, I saw a certificate from the Ripley's Believe It or Not for the largest clown doll or clown corpse collection.
Okay.
It was just one of those things. I'm drinking, a large beer, and I just go, huh, and just did that a lot. Just a lot of, huh.
Clown corpses. Oh.
Fascinating.
All right, let's move on to our subgenre. What do we got?
Okay. I talked about it on our last episode, the documentary Horror Noire,
which Correia and I have both seen by now, and it is fantastic.
Oh, it's
Yes, it is.
phenomenal.
Yes, it is great. If you've got Shudder, see Horror Noire. If you don't have Shudder, find a friend who does and see Horror Noire because it's essential viewing.
Or sign up to Shudder yourself and watch it because it is worth it. Yeah, it was an amazing documentary, and it did make me think more about the movies they defined under horror noir. You know, just outside of just blaxploitation, but these types of movies that are connected to black audiences. So I figured horror noir would be a great subgenre to discuss, especially because they brought up so many great movies in that documentary. Like right off the bat, going to start with the classic Night of the Living Dead, because I mean, like it was so fascinating to hear how groundbreaking they considered the movie to be, because especially for that time in the late 60s, to have the lead be black and also in the midst of an apocalypse and taking the leader role.
Well, and also, I mean, George Romero has gone on record saying that role was not written to be black. It's just Dwayne Johnson, is that his name? Or
Dwayne Jones.
That's The Rock. Dwayne Jones. Okay, I got Rampage on the line. We haven't talked about Rampage in weeks. Anyway, Dwayne Jones. Romero has said that he was just the best guy to show up for auditions, so he didn't mean to have that be a black character. He just cast the best guy for the role.
Which is, I think, some might use that as a dismissive thing to say, no, Night of the Living Dead is not, it has nothing to do with race. But I think that taking that stance where he didn't view color, he just was like, oh, this is the best guy for the role, is very significant. And the one thing that Horror Noire really drove for me when they were talking about Night of the Living Dead is that ending with the imagery, the photographs.
Oh my gosh.
Just the fact that it was photographs and like reflecting it with the imagery that was and what was going on with the civil rights movement at the time, like really impacted me.
Well, and not just of the time, what's going on today, which, okay, I'm going to spoil a movie that's 50 years old, but at the end of the entire night, Dwayne Jones, he survives, and as soon as he sees the white guys who are out killing zombies, he gets shot in the head.
Yep.
How much more timely is that of an unarmed black guy who is not doing anything wrong getting shot by a white posse?
Yeah, and they even brought up the photography as parallel with like photos from actual lynchings.
Yep.
Yeah,
intense.
Yeah, it's intense. Okay, let's move on to another movie. This one got heavy.
Yeah, I want to talk about Blackula.
Hell yes, Blackula.
I fucking love Blackula. That's always been one of my favorites. I was very upset when I missed that screening and missed out on seeing it on 35, mostly because I've worn my VHS tape out. But I don't know about you guys. I'm going to keep referring to Horror Noire because they brought up another aspect that I never realized, how sexy Blackula was. And I thought that was really interesting that, like, because one of the points they made was that Draculas throughout the years were these kind of metro, kind of very, not really sexy, but they were, trying to be sexual type of, like, kind of creepy creatures, whereas Blackula came in and he had presence. He had an aura of just raw sexuality to him. Which is incredible, especially with those sideburns. Those sideburns are intense. Mm-hmm. And it was also one of the few instances around that time where you got to see royalty from Africa in it, because it opens up with him and his wife being of African royalty before he gets turned by an extremely racist Dracula.
I think this is the only movie where Dracula uses the N-word.
Yeah, I feel like there's some more. I feel like there's got to be one more Dracula movie where he drops that.
I'm going to take it to another movie that they talked about. It almost seems like horror noir is not so much a genre as it is just all of the movies they talked about in the documentary. But they touched on Attack the Block.
Yeah.
And Attack the Block is great because it basically these thug kids, that's the only way to put it. They're like these not really drug
punks.
dealers, but they're
hooligans.
Yeah, they're hooligans. That's a great way to put it, because they are actually in Britain, too. And they're the ones who have to save their neighborhood from these, furry alien werewolves with glow-in-the-dark teeth.
Bears. Space bears.
Werewolf
Space
bear
bears.
motherfuckers.
Yeah. So that one, it kind of plays with the stereotypes of these, black hooligan kids, but then it flips it over, and it's like, oh, no, these are the ones who are going to save the motherfucking day.
Yeah. And then, spoiler alert, similar to Night of the Living Dead, when the cops arrive, they're all arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's how, also, spoiler alert, that's how I thought that Get Out was. Well, that's how Get Out was supposed to end.
Yeah. Deleted ending.
They shot that ending, but then they decided, and I think that Get Out, the ending they chose was perfect.
Yeah.
Because it ended, first of all, it brought back one of the more memorable characters from he's kind of a comic relief character, the TSA buddy. But when he comes back, you're like, he's all, I'm TS motherfucking A.
Which they need more recognition, especially after this recent shutdown.
Let's see. I also wanted to bring up, because this was, I had mentioned this before, this was the double feature they chose at the Horror Noire screenings at the Egyptian. Tales from the Hood and Tales from the Crypt presents Demon Knight, which were directed by Rusty Cundiff and Ernest Dickerson, respectively. Tales from the Hood is just such a great anthology on its own, and does such a great job of what other great anthologies do, in that it has a lot of political and social subtext beneath everything. Like the first story in Tales from the Hood is about these crooked cops that kill an innocent black activist, and then he comes back for revenge, and this is one of them, but I just love at the Q&A, Rusty Cundiff said that he was kind of annoyed how relevant his movie still was some 20-odd years later. And Tales from the Crypt presents Demon Knight, such a great movie, and it does have a pretty wide cast, including the great late Dick Miller, R.I.P. But what really stands out is Jada Pinkett Smith gets to be the final girl in that one.
Have either of you guys seen Bones?
Yes, I just saw that on Shudder.
I want to now.
Yeah, it's the Snoop Dogg horror movie,
directed by Ernest Dickerson.
Oh, was that also Ernest Dickerson?
That was Ernest Dickerson.
Yep.
Because Bones is it kind of plays with what you're talking about, that first one where the activist guy gets killed and comes back for revenge. Bones is he's a drug dealer, but he is like a pillar of the community. He's always helping his neighbors and stuff, and he gets betrayed, and then he comes back. I think
the thing was he didn't deal drugs. He did work outside the law, but he didn't want to deal drugs in his own community.
That's it. He was keeping drugs out of the neighborhood. Yeah, okay. But what I always remember about that is when they kill him, everyone who's there, they force everyone who's in the room to take a stab with the knife, so they are all just as guilty.
Yeah.
So even the ones who are reluctant, he comes back after them because they're all equally guilty, and that was part of their et tu brute plan of yeah, exactly. That's what it was. That's what the scene also reminds me of, is the assassination of Caesar in Shakespeare. But anyway,
and actually, funny thing, at the Q&A when Ernest Dickerson was there, he talked about work on the movie, and one of my favorite anecdotes, he was talking about because yes, you got Snoop Dogg as Bones, and you got Pam Grier as like his Flame, and he was saying like during the scene, like Snoop Dogg would blush, and he was kind of shy with Pam Grier because, like, I had such a huge crush on her, and it was actually really sweet.
Yeah,
I do have to say, one of the biggest cases for horror noir, besides being an amazing documentary, is during the end credits, Ken Foree and Keith David start singing the Monster Mash.
Oh,
and
yes.
all I want now is for them to do a cover of Monster Mash.
All I want is for those two, have those two ever worked together before?
I feel like I have seen them both in something, but they were both like bit parts that weren't together. But holy shit, I want them to be together in everything, because just them talking to each other brought my voice down about 3 octaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I want that to be my ringtone.
Yeah. They did the mash.
Yeah, and while we were on Ernest Dickerson, I actually just got Death by Temptation, which is written, produced, and directed by James Bond III, which also is a very badass name. And they talked about it a bit in the Horror Noire documentary. It's about this pious guy that comes to visit his cousin in the city, and he gets tempted by a succubus. Been meaning to watch this. Haven't had the chance yet, but it does look pretty cool. And Ernest Dickerson, I found out recently, was the cinematographer on the movie. And I also am interested in special features because there's a discussion about the film between Ernest Dickerson and Lloyd Kaufman of Trauma. So that should be pretty interesting.
Of Trauma, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's distributed by Trauma.
Huh.
Yeah.
That makes way too much sense.
Yeah.
Way too much.
Let's move on to our topic, which, with it being our 20th episode, we were kind of brainstorming around, and we are going to look at movies that are celebrating their 20th anniversary this year in the year 2019. So that means we're going back to 1999.
We're going to party like it's 1999.
Yeah, we're going to party like it's 1999. And I'm going to go first because there's one that I want to talk about. And it is probably the most influential movie of the 21st century. And I'm talking about the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because sure, there was Cannibal Holocaust and all these other little faux documentaries before. But Blair Witch is the one that it basically ruined it for all to come because people bought into it hook, line, and sinker. And now they're never going to do that again. You cannot put out a found footage movie and have people believe it anymore. And with Blair Witch, it wasn't so much just the movie. It was marketing genius, the way that they did. There was a website there were 2 websites. There was BlairWitch.com, which didn't let you in on it. And then there was the Haxan one, which kind of pulled the curtain back and let you know that it was fake. So if you were smart enough to go to the Haxan one, you knew it was fake. But a lot of my friends legitimately, when it came out, thought that it was real. And I remember the first time I stumbled across the Blair Witch, BlairWitch.com, and there were 3 or 4 different scenes from it, and one of them was Heather in the tent. The scared to open my eyes, scared to close them.
Well, actually, I don't think she was in the tent in that one, right? She was outside.
Wherever she was, she's holding the camera on herself. I thought she was in the tent. But it's the one where the camera's looking up her nose and she's crying.
Right.
And I remember watching that, and it was a huge mistake to watch it at like 10:30 at night when I stumbled across it because there was no sleep that night. And it was because at that point I had still thought, I'm like, oh, holy crap, these poor people, but then, once you, and no one is ever going to fall for that like they did. It's fool me once,
Yeah, no, it's a different time too, with this new age of the internet, because they really knew how to market it when the internet was just starting off. And like I had a different perspective because I was just a kid when that came out in '99, and yeah, we all thought it was like a real thing too, because we were kids and it was just so well marketed. And yeah, that was the thing. Like, we were too young to see it, but it was just so ingrained in the pop culture that when it came out that, like, everybody knew of it and everybody talked about it. Like, just you'd see the commercials and you'd see whatever clips were available online or screened wherever on TV. And, it just was really unsettling because, it was ahead of its time with that level of found footage. So I'd say a good chunk of people thought it was an actual documentary or actual footage,
and they invented an entire mythology around it because, like, I remember on Sci-Fi Network
Curse of the Blair Witch,
Curse of the Blair Witch, and that's what went into, well, this is Rustin Parr and this is Ellie whatever her name, they went in through the history of the area. So by the time you're done watching that, and this is before you watch the movie, you're like, holy crap, why did they go into those woods? Those woods are cursed. All the stuff that's happened, This is Coffin Rock.
There.
Also a genius strategy because for us who couldn't see the movie in theaters, I'm I know a lot of us watched Curse of the Blair Witch on TV. So yeah, their marketing was genius, and also just it was such a pinnacle of pop culture because everybody was parodying it. You know, it's like one of my favorites was on Cartoon Network. They did a parody called the Scooby-Doo Project, where they made kind of like a faux mini movie. Where is like they is kind of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where they'd have the Scooby-Doo characters animated, but then they shot in like real environments and with real actors. And it's like the Scooby-Doo gang is looking for some kind of monster or something out in the woods, and they get lost, and like they do beat for beat parodies of the Blair Witch Project, and it's pretty funny.
It was a staple on Adult Swim where they would show that at least like once a night for years.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, guys. We're talking about 1999, Y2K, the big scare of the new millennium.
Yep.
So you can't talk about 1999 without that, which leads into one of the best films to come out that year, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, End of Days.
Yes.
Where it's the ultimate Y2K, and it leads to Arnold Schwarzenegger versus the Devil, played by Gabriel Byrne, which was one of my favorite interpretations of the Devil. He killed it in that movie.
All I remember about End of Days is Schwarzenegger going on WWF Raw, Monday Night Raw, to promote it. And anytime something would happen, like there would be like a choke slam, and he's like, "Oh, did you see that choke slam? That is a lot like what I do in my new movie, End of Days." You know, like he literally was pushing the movie. So do you remember it? He was pushing the movie so hard.
Oh God.
I don't remember that, but I believe it, because if you've ever watched an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie with audio commentary from Arnold Schwarzenegger, he is the most excitable child. And like he goes, "And if you see this shot, my muscles look really big as I worked out really hard that morning. Oh, this is a great shot because you can see this. We did a lot of work in getting this shot done." And it just ends there, and it's like, what the fuck? It's like a kid who visited set one day and was going like, "Oh yeah, I remember that background guy. I talked to him, you know." Just like little weird going nowhere fact. It kind of like me when I talk about movies. My facts don't go anywhere, but I'm excited.
But they're cool facts.
Yeah.
And yeah, also, John, you raise a good point in that 1999, everybody thought the world was going to end for one reason or another, between Y2K and like the millennial apocalypse predictions or whatever. So yeah, people were on edge, and people thought the world could end at the changing of the clock. So those movies were pretty big. I didn't actually see End of Days in theaters, but I think I caught it on TV once. It was pretty cool.
Well, come on over. We'll watch it on HD DVD sometime.
Oh, boy. HD DVD.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, the Mummy remake came out that year, too.
Oh, yeah. How could I forget?
Wow.
Brendan Fraser.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
And
hey, it's still better than the Tom Cruise Mummy.
Oh, so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that the 1999 Mummies really become... Well, that was the thing. It was a huge mainstream success when it came out, but has since become a cult film. Like a lot of people still are nostalgic for it, but also it really holds up. Like a lot of that special effects was really cool. And also it was Steven Sommers who also directed one of my other favorites, Deep Rising. And you got Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and yeah, like I actually got to see that in theaters because it was PG-13, and yeah, it scared the crap out of me. Like those flesh-eating scarabs, and like the mummy stripping people of their flesh. So it was pretty intense for like a PG-13 action adventure horror movie.
Yeah. What's a movie that you love from '99?
Oh,
Jacob.
Well, I gotta bring this up. William Malone's remake of House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah.
I feel like that one's pretty underrated, especially in terms of remakes. Because, it did a great job of following the original while, kind of changing over to genre sensibilities of that time in '99. So, it's pretty blatant, something supernatural is happening as opposed to the more ambiguous William Castle original. Also, Jeffrey Rush does his best Vincent Price impersonation, so that's pretty cool. And
which apparently that wasn't intentional. Like he did something, like he grew a mustache, or I forget what it was, but I remember reading somewhere that Jeffrey West wasn't originally supposed to be as Vincent Price, but when he showed up, they went, "Oh shit, yeah, we're doing this."
I mean, it was a great idea. I'm happy they did it. Also, very underrated performance from that movie with
Chris Kattan.
Oh yeah, Chris Kattan. Sorry, I was having trouble remembering his last name.
No worries.
Chris Kattan's performance in the movie is very underrated. I was rewatching the Scream Factory release, and he's genuinely funny in that movie while things are also still really scared. You know, he's like, the house is going to kill us. We're all going to die. So I feel like they wanted to do a bit of that kind of Scream meta comedy stuff, because like he's basically the guy who knows that it's a haunted house and that shit's going to go bad because he's like the son of the architect who made the house. I really wish he had done more horror movies after that, because he really added some charm to the story.
And it was interesting because Chris Kattan's is known for being very loud, both with his voice and with his, hand gestures and movements. He's just a very loud overall person. And with that film, he wasn't muted, but it was at the perfect tone where it's understandable he's freaking out right now. People are dying from ghosts and shit. So it worked really well. It's weird saying that this was Chris Kattan's best performance. That's just a really weird sentence to leave my mouth, but it's true. Yeah,
and I actually saw it because I think I went along with my sister or something, and that movie scared the crap out of me. Especially toward the end when the ghosts go full-blown berserk, and there's that scene where they're trying to run away from the ghost, and the hallway is turning into a mouth and biting down on them, and they have to escape. It did a really great job, beyond what typical haunted house movies do. Is ooh, ghosts. It's the house is mutating from sheer amount of ghosts.
We can't talk about The House on Haunted Hill without bringing up The Haunting, which was another remake. 1999. Yes, the remake, which was not nearly as effective as the original. I mean, the only good thing about it, I think, is the cast, because they had Lily Taylor and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yeah, Liam Neeson. Who was the other guy in it?
Owen Wilson.
Oh, I was going to say, was it? I was thinking it was an Arquette, but it's Owen Wilson. Okay.
Yeah,
I was thinking it was
Owen Wilson's in that.
Yeah,
as an insomniac.
That one, I mean, aside from the cast, I thought that was actually kind of weak. I could not stand, and maybe it was the theater I saw it in, but the sound mixing was, Dunkirk level of ear piercing. It was horrid. And how do you improve on the original Robert Weiss one?
You do that by turning it into a series for Netflix.
Yes,
Haunting of Hill House. That's
and not following the Shirley Jackson novel at all. Just this
is how you do a good remake. You have Mike Flanagan involved. That's exactly how it's done.
And ignore the source material.
Plus, I haven't visited the 1999 Haunting in a while, but I kind of doubt the special effects hold up quite as well.
Yeah, I have not seen it in a while myself. I just remember, and there's a reason for that, because I remember it being pretty bad, except I do remember loving, especially Lily Taylor and Catherine Zeta-Jones. I remember that both of them being very good.
Although, speaking of special effects that do hold up better, I'd like to bring up the 1999 sci-fi horror movie Virus with Jamie Lee Curtis.
I knew you were going to bring up Virus.
I had to. I have a soft spot for it, both as a fan of sci-fi horror and aqua horror. I just really love it because it's such a cool concept. These salvagers find this big Russian Navy ship that seems to have been abandoned, and it turns out they intercepted an energy being alien from the Mir satellite, because topical 1999 Mir It took over the ship, and it made these smaller robots to kill people, and it would take the people and turn them into cyborgs. And so you got a bunch of cyborgs and killer robots on the ship. And spoiler alert, the movie is worth it just because there's an evil cyborg Captain Donald Sutherland.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun.
Cool. What about you, Correia? What's another favorite 99 movie of yours?
Oh, damn, I'm really torn on what to bring up, because I know when we first brought this up, I was like, fuck, man. I mean, I'm definitely going to bring up Idle Hands, but I can't really think of much else. And then looking into it more, there was a bunch more that came up, but I do have to bring up Idle Hands. I mean, it's the quintessential stoner zombie comedy, isn't it? And, man, I mean, it's just one of those ones that I'm not a stoner, but I love a good stoner comedy, and it's just a really fun movie. I think Seth Green and, the guy who plays his buddy, it's just like they reanimate and they're just like, yeah, we're just going to do what we did when we were alive and just sit around.
I love their explanation. It's like, yeah, we were dead and we saw this white light in a tunnel, but it was really far away, so we just came back.
Yeah. It was too far of a walk, so we said, fuck it.
Yeah. And, it's a fun movie, and surprisingly and it's really gory, especially for a comedy that time. And I was like,
it was very much so like kind of like a American Pie meets Dead Alive. Not as gory as Dead Alive, but a lot of the same sensibilities, and the effects for the decapitated hand were really good and still hold up, I think, today.
Yeah, there's definitely an Evil Dead influence throughout.
Oh yeah, that movie was written stoned watching Evil Dead 2, let's be honest.
Probably. And again, I just love the cameo where the lead singer of The Offspring gets scalped.
Yep.
Let's rapid fire through some here, because there's so many to choose from. I'll go first. I think that 1999 saw the last of the real Cronenberg movies with Existenz, because after that he started getting less into like body horror and more into Oscar bait stuff. Existenz with Jennifer Jason Leigh and the video game controller that was actually part of your body, I guess. It was kind of a creepy.
Yeah, with Jude Law, right?
Jude Law is her not bodyguard, but her
assistant / bodyguard.
Yeah, assistant. Yeah.
It's Cronenberg being stoned and watching The Matrix is what it is.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, this was about the same time as The Matrix, though.
Yeah.
I think it was more him watching somebody play a PlayStation stoned.
Right.
Yeah, him hanging out with Carpenter, playing video games. All right, let's move on.
Okay. I got to bring this up. Takashi Miike's Audition. We're talking full-blown... just balls to the wall horror. To this day, yeah, I don't think, it's one of those movies where you see once, and I'm not sure if I could do it again.
But it's such a great ghost story. Is what's so great about it.
Ghost story.
It's a ghost story. If you read into Japanese ghosts, because Japanese ghosts are completely different from Western ghost stories, it is a revenge ghost story, because that's what she is. She's the spirit of a
wronged woman,
avenging, and she's avenging against this man who tricks women into going on dates with him through audition. So if you go back and rewatch it, it starts to make a lot of sense, some of the stuff that she does, but also how she's able to do things, because she's not a normal person. She's actually a vengeful spirit. And yeah, that definitely makes me cringe whenever I see like those leather gloves. When I see someone wearing leather gloves, all I can think of is her with the wires going tick 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 tick.
I think she was saying kiri 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 kiri.
It was something. Either way, it's creepy.
99 was also a pivotal year for female filmmakers, because we had Kat Shea's Carrie 2, The Rage Carrie 2, and also Antonia Bird's Ravenous.
Oh, yes.
Which both, quality. I think Ravenous is a little better than Carrie 2, but they're both pretty quality movie that have held up, because I think both of them are still good today.
Yeah, Rage 2 is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I rewatched The Rage Carrie 2, and it actually holds up surprisingly well, especially considering, I'm sure at the time people thought it was like, oh, making a sequel to Carrie is blasphemy, and actually no, I mean, it's like, like Carrie, kind of captured the alienation and teenage angst of its time. I think The Rage Carrie 2 captured those same feelings for 1999.
Now, if you made a sequel to The Rage Carrie 2, would it be called The Rage 2 Carrie 3? That's my question.
It was like a Rambo question.
If we're doing rapid fires, I want to bring up From Dusk Till Dawn 2 and 3, because those were both released that year.
Were they shot at the same time?
They what?
Were they shot at the same time? They piped those out.
I think so. I know Rodriguez produced them. I think he might have written the third one, because the third one was basically From Dusk Till Dawn, just like taken, but it played out almost exactly the same. It just in the Old West. But they were a lot of fun, those movies, and like it was that and the Die Hard trilogy that I watched a lot. And for some reason, my mind keeps thinking those films are very similar. I'll come up with a reason why at some later point, maybe. And let's not forget Lake Placid, please.
And going hand in hand with Lake Placid, in my mind, is Deep Blue Sea. But let's talk Lake Placid first.
Well, Lake Placid, I have to say, I watched recently, and it has not aged well for me. But one thing that will always be timeless is Betty White swearing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Betty White says the F word.
Oh, Betty White says the F word so well. And it's always a delight seeing her. And seeing her say fuck is just, life affirming.
Well, just like seeing in Deep Blue Sea has my favorite movie death of all time. And I don't even have to say what it is, and everybody knows it's a meme. Yeah, but Samuel L. Jackson, and and I'm not even going to say spoiler alert, because you all know exactly how it happens.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's probably like the third most memorable Samuel L. Jackson moment after Had It With These Motherfucking Snakes and pretty much any scene he's in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I watched you get them wet. All right, rapid fire is Jacob.
I got to bring this up. 1999 was also the year of one of Troma's most ambitious, meta, and bonkers horror movies, Terror Firmer.
Terror Firmer.
Yeah, where it's basically about it's so meta, because it's basically about a Troma film team trying to make a movie, and somebody's killing the cast and crew, and of course it's as over the top and horrifying and disgusting as possible. And
of course,
there's also a start for a lot of filmmakers, or like a lot of genre filmmakers we know today were involved. Like Eli Roth was in it, Joe Lynch was in it, and of course it had recurring Troma guest Ron Jeremy. And I love that Lloyd Kaufman played a blind director.
Yeah,
blind director.
Yeah, that movie is nuts.
Now, as the fringe horror guy, I'm going to be the one to bring up The Sixth Sense, which was from 1999, which most people wouldn't consider it a horror movie, but it's about a kid who sees dead people.
It's totally a horror movie.
Not?
So it absolutely is. And then also, along the same lines as not really horror, although it is, Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
Also 99, which is as close to horror as Tim Burton's going to get. I mean, you got Christopher Walken tag teaming with Darth Maul playing the Headless Horseman.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's horror considering just the sheer amount of decapitations in that movie.
And the source material.
Oh,
I mean, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is a horror story. It just so happens that, the guy who made Edward Scissorhands is behind the camera.
And I would say that was one of the last films of his that I genuinely enjoyed. It was like that and Big Fish, because maybe Sweeney Todd a little bit, but that was one of the last ones that I saw in theaters and was like, yeah, good job, Tim Burton.
All right, what else we got for 99?
Well,
last call.
All right. Well, it was also going into J-horror a bit. It was also the year we got Wild Zero, which is one of the craziest zombie movies of its time, which is basically about this rock band called Wild Zero, and it's an actual band having to fight an army of zombies created by a race of aliens trying to destroy the Earth. I saw it a long time ago, and it was I was really into it back in high school. So it's just one of those like weird like late 90s movies, and it's just a lot of fun. And also similar, it looks like 99 was when the first Tomy movie came out, based off of the horror manga by Junji Ito. And And this one's basically about this girl, this woman who is irresistible to men, but she is immortal, and like she's kind of she's not human. It's kind of hard to describe what she is, but basically she's immortal and so beautiful she drives people insane, and if she's killed or chopped up, she just grows back, and it is really fucking weird.
What are your last calls, Correia? You got any?
I got one, but it's not because it's good, but it had an impact on me as a kid.
Let's do it.
I'm going to bring up Children of the Corn 666, Isaac's Return, starring Nancy Allen and Stacy Keach. It was the one where they brought back Isaac, who... my only memories of this film is just going, oh my god, they got that guy back, and the cover being so cool, and then seeing it on the Sci-Fi Channel and being like, wow, this is a really bad film. Even as a kid, I was like, this is not good. What is going on here? That series did not have good continuity with a lot of what was going on.
It was no Phantasm series.
Nope.
no, it wasn't.
Sadly. Yeah, and the late 90s was also the era of just dogpiling direct-to-video sequels.
Yes, yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's... there's a lot to talk about in 99, and I'm sure we missed your favorite, because I'm sure there's a Candyman 3 fan out there who's going to call us on missing that one.
I want you to call us out on that one.
Yeah, go ahead. Call us on it. So, yeah, let us know at our Facebook page, Eye on Horror's Facebook page, what your favorite movies from 1999 are. And who knows, maybe we'll shout out to you next episode. Our music is Restless Spirit, as always, so bang your head with them. And our artwork is Chris Fisher, so go and pay him to draw you something, because he's really good and he needs it, because he's always making movies and always needs money to make movies. So he's a talented guy, so you should stalk his art and work. And,
but not him physically. Like.
Well, hey, if you live in, where is he, Saskatchewan? If you live up there in the Great White North, sure, go and stalk him.
He is currently residing at this address that we post to our Facebook page.
Yeah, just track him down, stop by in the middle of the night, it'll be fine.
Yeah. You can find me, James J. Edwards, on Twitter at Cinema Fearite. That's Fearite like verite, but with fear, so it's Fearite. Where can we find you guys on Twitter? Jacob?
You can find me at Jacob Davison _. That is at JACOB DAVSON _.
And Correia?
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Korean Barbecue. That's CORREIAN BBQ. Don't forget to check us out on Stardust. And follow us on Facebook, because we started doing giveaways the other week. In fact, we gave away a Blu-ray set for the Omen collection. So congratulations to Fred Bennett on winning that. Hope you enjoy watching Omen 3 and Sam Neill just absolutely killing it as the Antichrist.
And I think you have to be careful with that set, though, because I think that it's confusingly labeled. And if you go to watch the first movie, you might accidentally see the remake with Julia Stiles and Liev Schreiber, which you don't want to make that mistake.
Well, it could be worse. You could accidentally watch The Omen 4, The Awakening.
Is that in the set? I don't think that's in that set, is it?
No, it's not. It was only in the
DVD
set. They even
skipped that one.
Or in the Voodoo Collection. It's on the Voodoo Collection, too, which I did buy.
All right, and you can find any of us at the Eye on Horror Facebook page. You can find any of us at the iHorror Facebook page. Yeah, so that's where you can stalk us or any of the other talented iHorror writers.
That actually reminds me, James, you brought up a good point earlier that we haven't brought up Rampage in a while.
What?
Yeah, so as penance for not mentioning Rampage in, 2 episodes at least, we're going to give away 2 copies of it digitally at some random point over the next few weeks. So keep your eyes peeled for that, guys, because not even James got one of these.
I was going to say, can I enter this contest?
May I enter as well?
Yeah, I guess Jacob and I won't be eligible, so we're going to have to buy our own Rampage codes. Aww.
I'll get you cheap copies, don't worry, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see you in a couple weeks with another topic, and Let us know what you think of what your favorite 99 movies are. In the meantime, for me, James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Correia.
Keep your eye on horror.